Good afternoon. It was a shorter day for me today. So, my update is really on what happened this morning and then what happened in session, as I didn't have any afternoon committees today. But this morning, the subcommittee that was hearing the marijuana legislation met, and it was a subcommittee of the General Laws Full Committee. And Senator Eben, a Democrat from the Senate from Northern Virginia, had a bill that would basically help establish the mechanism for marijuana to be sold legally. So right now, you can possess it and you can grow it at home with some stipulations, but the actual market has not been set up. And so, if you'll remember, when the Democrats passed the bill in 2021, I feel like it was the online session. So, 2021, um, there were reenactment clauses, which don't forget to read the whole bill, because if you go scroll all the way down to the bill and there's bold font at the end, you want to check that to see if it says that some clauses of the bill have to be reenacted. That means that the General Assembly has to pass them again. And some of the Senate Democrats last year wanted a little bit more time to make sure that what we were doing in establishing the system was done in the right way. There are several different complexities of it. So, say for instance, in selling marijuana for adult recreational use, you want to make sure that the medicinal uses that those are still available for the patients that need it. So there was lots of talk about how we were going to do it. The other piece that's most important to me is social equity. And so, how are we going to help the communities that have been harmed by the war on drugs, for the decades long assault on our communities? And so, unfortunately, those social equity pieces were taken out, and that was in hopes of the Republican majority being able to get to a yes on the bill because they were dead set against the social equity pieces. Problematic. But even with the watered down version of a bill to move forward today in the subcommittee, even though this process has been studied for 2 years, if not longer, because there's some Democrats that have been trying to get marijuana legalized and sold in Virginia for even longer, but for at least 2 years, they voted to table the bill until next year, which means we would go a whole nother year without the work being done by the board that's being established in the budget, but they can't do any work because we can't send them a bill. So there's an important deadline coming up tomorrow that says any of the bills, the Senate bills that have impact on the budget, I think have to be passed out of appropriations tomorrow. So that deadline has not been reached, but the bill was essentially stalled in subcommittee. What will be interesting is if there's any action on it or discussion on it tomorrow. But this is a huge missed opportunity, especially when we hear all of this information about the Black market and what it could really blossom into or balloon into without these pieces going into effect. So literally all they had to do was reenact the bill that we had worked on and make any amendments that they wanted to make to it. But instead, they have essentially stalled the process. And so you'll want to keep an eye on that. And then, of course, because nothing came out of the subcommittee report, the full general laws ended up not meeting today. So then we get to the floor, and Delegate Ward gave a really nice tribute to Delegate McQuinn, who we wore pink for today because today was her day to celebrate 30 years being cancer free. And so we celebrate her, we send her love and support, and hope that she has 30 more years of being cancer free. And we're also raising money right now for the Massey Cancer Center. And we have reached our goal in order for finally Delegate Mullen's mustache to be shaved. So tune in on Wednesday for that fun. But we are seriously raising money for the Massey Cancer Center that's associated with VCU. And they do great work. And we're, of course, looking for cures and treatments that are less aggressive for those that experience cancer. So there's that. And then we continue to hear Senate bills. We also continue to hear House bills with Senate amendments. Don't forget, in the House, when we had a House bill, we would read and debate a bill on second reading. But after crossover, when we're dealing with Senate bills, debate and vote both happen on third reading. So when you're looking at the daily calendar, look for the bills that are on third reading, and that's what's happening for debate, amendments, any of that we used to do on second read. That's happening on third read, and then again, we're voting on the Senate amendments to House bills. And at the end of today, you also heard the speaker and, well, I guess it was the clerk announced who the speaker appointed to be in committees of conference. So again, when there's a House bill and a Senate bill that pass out of either chamber with differences. So if I had a House bill that passed out of the House one way, a Senate amendment was made, and we rejected the Senate amendment, it would go into conference. Also, bills that have House and Senate identical bills, typically they're identical. If they're not identical, then those go into conference to get those bills to be identical. And so it goes into conference. So then the speaker appoints people to be on the committees of conference who will be the ones that decide, what the compromise is for the bill. And then you'll hear the bill back on the House or the Senate floor presenting a conference report, which should be very similar to what the bill was with just the compromise language. But again, this underscores why it's really important to follow the bill all the way through to the process, the full process, because changes can happen. So that's what's really happening today. And then tomorrow we will continue our work. And I cannot believe today is the end of Black History Month, but the amazing speech by Delegate Jeff Bourne today. If you have not seen it, you absolutely have to listen to it. Just spoke from the heart, especially about how we really want to make sure that we're changing our Commonwealth to make it better for like his son and all of the little nuggets that live around the Commonwealth. But one of the things that he reminded us is that though February might be ending today, the importance and the study of Black history does not. And so we will carry that on into the rest of the months of the year, because Black history is American history, and the full truth needs to be told, not just in talking points, not just in speeches, but in implementation in our educational system. And so be sure to watch Delegate Jeff Bourne's speech. But that's all I have for today. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.